Welcome back. Today we are diving deep into one of the most iconic beat-em games of the 90s, Streets of Rage 2. This iconic beat-em-up game first hit the streets on the Sega Genesis in 1992. Developed by Sega, this sequel took the foundation laid by its predecessor and elevated it to legendary status. The game is often celebrated for its refined gameplay mechanics, memorable soundtrack, and vibrant pixel art, making it a staple of the 16-bit era. In the early 90s, the beat-em-up genre was thriving, with titles like Final Fight and Double Dragon captivating arcade and console audiences alike. Streets of Rage 2 not only embraced the genre's core elements, but also added a layer of polish that set it apart from its contemporaries. One of the standout features of Streets of Rage 2 is its soundtrack, composed by the legendary Yuzo Koshiro. The music perfectly captures the urban atmosphere and intensity of the game, with tracks that range from funky beats to heart-pounding electronica. This soundtrack not only enhances the gaming experience, but has also become iconic in its own right, influencing game music for years to come. The visuals, too, received a significant upgrade from the first game, with more detailed character sprites, smoother animations, and richly designed environments that bring the city's gritty underworld to life. The story of Streets of Rage 2 plunges players into a gripping tale of revenge and redemption. After the events of the first game, the city seemed to have found peace. The notorious crime syndicate, led by the elusive Mr. X, had been dismantled thanks to the heroic efforts of Axel Stone, Blaze Fielding, and Adam Hunter. However, tranquility proves fleeting in this urban jungle. 1 year later, the city falls into darkness once more as Mr. X emerges from the shadows, rebuilding his empire with renewed vigor. This time, the Syndicate's retaliation is personal. Adam Hunter is kidnapped, and the message is clear: Mr. X is out for blood. In the face of this new threat, Axel and Blaze refuse to stand idle. They are joined by two fresh faces: Max Thunder, a towering professional wrestler and a close friend of Axel, and Eddie Skatehunter, Adam's younger brother. As the group battles through the city, they encounter a variety of adversaries, from street thugs to formidable bosses. The journey takes them through a diverse array of environments, each representing a different aspect of the city's gritty landscape. From neon-lit streets and shady back alleys to nightclubs pulsating with energy and industrial areas steeped in danger, the setting reflects the Syndicate's pervasive influence. The players uncover more about the Syndicate's operations and its stranglehold on the city's institutions, painting a bleak picture of corruption and lawlessness. The climax of the story unfolds in Mr. X's fortress, a high-tech skyscraper that towers over the city, a symbol of his power and audacity. The heroes fight their way up the building, facing the toughest challenges yet, including a climactic showdown with Mr. X himself. The final battle is an intense test of skill and teamwork, as Mr. X, equipped with advanced weaponry, proves to be a formidable opponent. This narrative of Streets of Rage 2 not only serves as a thrilling backdrop for the game's action-packed gameplay, but also highlights timeless themes of courage, loyalty, and the struggle against oppression. Streets of Rage 2 is celebrated for its refined gameplay, which elevates the beat-em-up genre to new heights with a combination of accessible controls and deep combat mechanics. Players can choose from 4 distinct characters: Axel, Blaze, Max, and Skate, each offering a unique fighting style and set of moves. Axel's balanced abilities make him a great all-rounder, while Blaze's agility allows for quick strikes and evasive maneuvers. Max, with his massive strength, delivers powerful grapples and devastating throws, perfect for handling multiple enemies at once. Skate, the fastest character, uses his speed and acrobatics to outmaneuver foes and perform flashy, crowd-control techniques. The core gameplay revolves around navigating through various stages, beating up waves of enemies using a mix of punches, kicks, and special moves. The controls are intuitive, with a simple setup: a button for standard attacks, one for jumping, and another for special attacks. Special moves are a standout feature in Streets of Rage 2. Unlike the first game, where using special attacks would summon a police car to fire a barrage of rockets, the sequel introduces character-specific specials that consume a small portion of the player's health bar. In addition to standard attacks and specials, players can also grab enemies, allowing for a range of grapple moves. These grapples vary depending on the character and position relative to the enemy, offering a satisfying variety in combat. The cooperative multiplayer mode is one of the highlights of Streets of Rage 2, allowing two players to team up and take on the game's challenges together. This mode not only doubles the fun, but also introduces cooperative strategies, as players can combine their attacks and coordinate moves to manage enemy hordes more effectively. Streets of Rage 2 also offers a scoring system, rewarding players for defeating enemies and finishing stages without losing lives. High scores can earn extra lives and continues, providing a sense of accomplishment and replayability. The game's difficulty levels range from easy to hard, accommodating both newcomers and seasoned players looking for a tougher challenge. The combination of character variety, cooperative gameplay, strategic depth, and challenging enemies makes Streets of Rage 2 a timeless classic that continues to be enjoyed by gamers around the world. The music of Streets of Rage 2 is one of its most defining features, setting the tone and enhancing the immersive experience of the game. Composed by the legendary Yuzo Koshiro, along with contributions from Motohiro Kawashima, the soundtrack is a masterclass in electronic and dance music that perfectly captures the urban, gritty atmosphere of the game's world. Koshiro, already a well-known composer for his work on the first Streets of Rage and other Sega titles, pushed the boundaries of what was possible on the Sega Genesis. The soundtrack of Streets of Rage 2 stands out for its sophisticated blend of genres, including house, techno, and electronic dance music, which were relatively new to video games at the time. This choice of music was inspired by the burgeoning club scenes of the late 80s and early 90s, particularly in Europe, giving the game an edgy contemporary feel that resonated with players. Tracks like Go Straight, the iconic opening stage theme, set an energetic pace with its driving beat and catchy melody, instantly pulling players into the action. The use of complex rhythms, syncopated beats, and layered synthesizers across the soundtrack reflects Koshiro's deep understanding of dance music, making each track not just a background element, but an integral part of the gameplay experience. Each level in the game is paired with a specific track that enhances the mood and intensity of the action. For instance, Dreamer accompanies the high-energy setting of the amusement park level, while Alien Power provides a darker, more foreboding tone as players navigate through the Syndicate's factory. The variety in the soundtrack mirrors the diverse environments of the game, from the bustling streets to neon-lit nightclubs and ominous industrial zones. The music transitions smoothly between these themes, maintaining a consistent vibe that keeps players engaged and immersed in the game's universe. A standout aspect of the Streets of Rage 2 soundtrack is its technical sophistication. Koshiro utilized a custom music programming language called Music Macro Language to compose the tracks, allowing for more intricate compositions than what was typically achievable on the hardware. This innovation enabled a richer sound quality and more complex arrangements, setting a new standard for video game music at the time. The tracks are not only memorable but also feature subtle nuances that enhance replayability. Players often find themselves discovering new layers and elements in the music with each playthrough. The influence of Streets of Rage 2's soundtrack extends beyond the game itself, leaving a lasting impact on the video game music community and beyond. The soundtrack has been widely acclaimed, not just by gamers, but also by music enthusiasts, for its pioneering use of electronic music in gaming. It has inspired countless remixes, covers, and even live performances, proving its enduring appeal. The music's timeless quality and its ability to evoke the gritty yet hopeful atmosphere of the game's world make it a beloved classic among fans. Overall, the music of Streets of Rage 2 is more than just an accompaniment. It's a vital component that defines the game's identity. It enhances the storytelling, sets the emotional tone, and elevates the gameplay to new heights. Whether you're battling through waves of enemies or just listening to the soundtrack on its own, the music remains a powerful and nostalgic trip back to the heyday of the Sega Genesis and the golden age of beat-em-up games. The legacy of Streets of Rage 2 is a testament to its lasting impact on the gaming industry and popular culture. Since its release in 1992, the game has been celebrated as one of the finest beat-em-ups of all time. Renowned for its engaging gameplay, iconic music, and striking visual style, it solidified the Streets of Rage series as a cornerstone of Sega's 16-bit library, and set a high standard for the genre. Its influence can be seen not only in subsequent beat-em-up games, but also in the broader landscape of video game design and music composition. One of the most significant aspects of the game's legacy is its enduring popularity. Streets of Rage 2 continues to be a favorite among retro gaming enthusiasts and has been re-released on numerous platforms, including the Sega Saturn, Sega Genesis Mini, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and various digital storefronts. The cultural impact of Streets of Rage 2 extends beyond gaming circles. The game's music, composed by Yuzo Koshiro and Motohiro Kawashima, has achieved iconic status and is frequently cited as one of the best video game soundtracks ever created. The soundtrack's influence can be heard in various music genres, particularly in electronic and dance music, where its beats and melodies have inspired numerous artists. The game's sound design and music have been celebrated in concerts and symphonic performances, highlighting its significance in the broader music landscape. In terms of game design, Streets of Rage 2 has left a lasting mark on how beat-em-ups are crafted. Its character diversity, intuitive controls, and strategic depth set a new standard for the genre. The game's emphasis on cooperative play also paved the way for future multiplayer experiences, both in beat-em-ups and other genres. With the introduction of unique special moves and a health risk reward system influenced many subsequent games, encouraging developers to explore more dynamic and interactive combat systems. The game's legacy was further cemented with the release of Streets of Rage 4 in 2020, nearly 3 decades after the original trilogy. This long-awaited sequel was a love letter to fans, faithfully recreating the look and feel of the classic games while introducing modern elements and new gameplay mechanics. Streets of Rage 4 was met with critical acclaim, and its success underscored the enduring appeal of the franchise. It also rekindled interest in Streets of Rage 2, prompting both veterans and newcomers to revisit or discover the classic game that set the stage for the series' continued evolution. In summary, Streets of Rage 2 is not just a relic of the past. It's a vibrant piece of gaming history that continues to influence and inspire. Its legacy is seen in the countless games it has inspired, the thriving fan community that keeps its spirit alive, and the ongoing appreciation for its music and gameplay design. Whether you're playing it for the first time or the 100th, Streets of Rage 2 remains a timeless classic, a true masterpiece of the beat-em-up genre. Thank you for joining us. If you like this deep dive into the retro world of Streets of Rage 2, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, keep questing and keep gaming.